Hello again. Today I'm going to read you a story called Yucky Worms, written by Vivian French and illustrated, that means that the pictures were drawn by Jessica Alberg. One day when I was in Gran's garden, Gran dug up a slimy, slithery, wiggly worm. Yuck, I said, throw it away. Throw it away? Gran looked horrified. Would you throw away one of your friends? You can't be friends with a worm, I said. You can't even tell which end is which. It's a little bit bright, hope you can see the picture. And there's Gran holding on to a wiggly worm. Yes, you can. Watch. Gran put the worm down. It gave a kind of squiggly wriggle and disappeared really fast, pointy end first. Disappeared down into the soil. So the little boy put the worm on the soil and it quickly wiggled head first down into the soil. As the rounded end vanished, Gran said, "There goes the tail." I bent down to look and I could see it left a little tunnel. "Where's it gone?" I asked. "Home," said Gran. "It's an earthworm. It lives in the earth." Here's a picture of the worm. It's got a brain and it's got hearts. They have a tail and skin. And it's got a tube called an esophagus like we've got, where its food goes down. But something very interesting about worms, which I think you might know by now, they haven't got any eyes, they're blind. Don't need to see underground. Does it eat earth too? I wanted to know. It eats tiny, tiny stones and bits of grit, Gran told me. But worms eat other things as well, like rotting leaves and flowers and fruit and dead insects. They especially like eating at night when it's cool. So there's a picture of the worms underneath. Grand. Worms come above ground to find things to eat. "Ooh, nice, rotten, just how I like it," says the worm. He's come up and he's found an old leaf. They pull their food back down as they wriggle into the earth again. The stones and the grit help to grind everything up in the worm's stomach, and then the worm poos it out. Gran pointed at the flower bed. "Look, can you see?" I bent down and I saw a weird, long, curly worm made of earth. "That's worm poo," Granny says. "It's called a cast. You know, when you recycle things, well, worms do it too. There's still a lot of goodness left in the things the worm eats, and when the goodness comes out again as poo, it helps plants grow big and strong. So worms help plants grow, which means that gardeners like worms. I like worms. And as the worms move about under and over the earth, the poo gets spread all around the garden. That's why worms are my friends," said Gran, and she gave a thumbs up. Mrs. Parr likes worms too. It's not just their poo that's good for the plants. The tunnels they dig loosen the soil, so roots from plants, we learnt about roots, didn't we, last week? The roots from the plants are able to get down into the ground so that air and rainwater can get in. And here you can see a picture of what it looks like under the ground with all those worms making air holes for the roots of the plants to grow in. "But it's dangerous being a worm," Gran said. I stared at her. "Dangerous?" She smiled at me. "Lots and lots of animals think worms make the best sort of dinner. Birds love them, and so do moles and badgers and frogs, hedgehogs and foxes, and human beings slice them with spades and with forks. It's hard life being a worm, with so many people wanting to eat them. I'll tell you somebody else who likes to eat worms. Oh, chickens, they love worms. Their favourite food. Gran had tea and I had orange juice. Can I dig a worm up? I asked. If it rains, Gran said, the worms will actually come up on their own. So there's the Gran and the little boy having a picnic in their summer garden. I think it must be a summer's day because all the plants are growing. I took a biscuit. What if it doesn't rain? Granny winked at me like this. We'll use the watering can and pretend. We'll play a trick, she said. I finished my biscuit as fast as I could. Can we trick the worms now? Little boy wants to play a trick on the worms. Gran went to fill the watering can and I watered the earth. Then I stood back. I didn't want worms chewing at my shoes. So he's watered all the ground. He's pretending to be rain. They only put their heads out, Gran promised, and it'll be a while before they do. When it's very hot and the soil gets too dry to slither through, the worm wriggles down to the down, deep into the ground where the earth is wetter, right down under the ground. And when it's cold, it will wriggle down even deeper and curl up with other worms to keep warm. It's a nice idea, isn't it? Gran was right. I had time to eat 2 more biscuits before she said, Look! Wow, I said. I could just see the tip of a worm above the earth. Now watch this. Gran stamped and the worm disappeared. Can you see the little boy? He's just saying hello to the worm who's just peeped his head out. Oh, gosh, be careful. Look who's on that watering can. That bird would be in there like a flash, I think, to eat that worm if it gets a chance. But Gran stamped on the ground. Did you see? I asked. Gran shook her head. Worms don't have eyes. Sorry, it said, did it see you? I asked. But Gran shook her head. We know this, don't we? Worms don't have eyes. They just feel the vibrations. And a thump like that might mean that a hungry bird is landing and it means danger. So the worm will quickly go back under the ground. Gran dug her fork into the ground and up came lots of earth and wriggly worms. She picked one up and washed it in the watering can. I mustn't drop it, she said, because they can't swim. Gran put the clean worm on paper and held it to my ear. I could hear a rustling, a tiny rustling noise. What's that? They're covered in bristles, Granny said. The bristles and their muscles help them to move. So the whole of their body is covered in teeny tiny bristles. And if you put a worm on a piece of paper and put it by your ear, you might be able to hear it, the bristles moving and the worm wriggling. I've got muscles too. I bent my arm so Gran could see. If you've got so many muscles, she said, maybe you'd like to help me plant my sunflower seedlings. Okay, I nodded, and then I thought of something. When I go to school next, I'm going to say that I've got lots of new friends. Good idea, said Gran. Actually, I said, I might not actually say they're worms. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story all about worms, and maybe you could go into the garden, or to the park, and see if you could dig up some worms. Have a good look at them, maybe take them home and examine them. But don't forget, if you do take them out of their own habitat, that means their home, you really must replace them fairly soon. And then you know what will happen if you put it back onto the soil. The pointy end will come up and it'll go down under the ground. Hope you've enjoyed that story, and I hope you're all keeping well, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.